the filmmakers behind Popeye the Slayer Man are here. You know how much I love like these public domain horror films. They are, and this one, I saw it this week. It was, well, I'll say it to them. Hey,
Hello, Chris.
okay, there we go. Hey, Popeye the Slayer Man, director Robert Michael Ryan, and star Sarah Nicklin. So good to see you here, Sarah. I know you through the horror community
Yes,
for a long
indeed.
time. This movie, I'm glad I saw it in a theater. The audience was out of control. I did not expect it to be this funny. Okay. Where did Popeye the Slayer Man go? And I want to show the trailer because I want our audience to see this. Where did you come up with this idea? How did you make it so funny? Tell us about that.
It was one of those things where literally me and my producing partners, Kyle Carvin and Jeff Miller, we were sitting in a bar in North Hollywood talking about what our next movie is. And Kyle was on his phone and he said, "Hey guys, Popeye's public domain in like 18 months." And that's it. Like, we're going to do a dark Popeye. And it was just, and we just started from there. And from the beginning, my attitude was like, I want to make this. I wanted like an homage to like the 80s horror films. You know, they had a little bit of that campy style to it. So we wanted some humor. We wanted to be a little over the top, and we just wanted to really have a lot of fun with it. And we wanted the audience to have fun with it.
Well, I think the tone, definitely you nailed it in the film. Sarah, how did you get involved? I mean, but also, by the way, I know you're a horror fan yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've done a lot of horror movies. Oh, I almost exclusively only watch horror movies. I got involved because I was texting with Kyle, producer, and he mentioned that they were doing another film because Robert and Jeff and Kyle have done many films together, and they were going to be shooting it in upstate New York. And coincidentally, I was going to be in New Hampshire on a different movie at the same time. So the scheduling and the timing just worked out, and they hadn't cast all the roles yet. So Kyle asked Robert and Jeff, who I've also known for 10 years at this point, if they were okay with casting me, and they were, and it worked out. It was really nice and convenient.
Yeah, we were super lucky and excited.
Well, also, how did you gather these actors? They were down. I mean, they were, I mean, pretty sure about everybody gets bloodied in the movie by the end in some form. And how did you gather that crew? And the guy who plays Popeye, who actually, he does have the forearms when you look at the poster.
He's a big dude, yeah.
He's a big dude. He fits the role. How did you gather these people, including Popeye?
Well, Popeye was easy because me and Jason have been friends since the 4th grade. So I've known that guy my whole life, and we've done movies together. He's a director as well, and I've worked on his projects. And so, and he's a retired police officer. He was a cop for 30 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when we were first talking about this and we were talking about Popeye, I said, my first thought was, it's got to be Jason because, you know, he looks like Popeye. Like if worst case scenario, if we had an issue with the makeup, we could always just shoot him the way he is and it would probably work. And as far as the rest of the casting, we casted out of New York, and we took the casting process very seriously. Like, even though we're kind of a small indie film, we really wanted to focus on finding the best actors we could. And some of the people we'd worked with before on a previous film that we did called Ouija Witch, like Sean and Mabel Thomas, and I'm drawing a blank here, but so we worked with a couple people we had. Obviously, Sarah was a great surprise because we knew she was working, and so she contacted and said, "Hey, I'm going to be available for like these 3 days," and we're like, "Oh, that works out perfectly. We'll shoot on this day," and so we were super excited because we worked with Sarah before, and obviously, she's a great actress and a great person in the horror world. So we're like, "Oh, she gets this." But I don't know if we told you, Sarah, that we were gonna spray you with blood, but I think it was implied because we told everybody you're going to get bloody in this.
Always.
You're in a horror film, of course.
You're in a horror film.
Yeah.
And she was game because I think we had 4 people with spray hoses for the queue right off camera, just hitting her with blood. And she screamed. Right. It was great. It's an iconic shot of the movie. And I was like, "Oh, beautiful. That's in the trailer. That's it. We got it." So we just talked to everybody. Everybody did a great job for the casting. We just said, hey, it's a horror film. We're gonna have fun, and everyone's gonna get bloody. Just if you're cool with that, then we're gonna have a great time. And everybody did. So,
well, let's take a look at the trailer for the
Sure.
film. We need 1.5 minutes here. Let's look at it.
Monster.
What? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I had to ask the question because we've been talking about Snow White all week. But what were the discussions like regarding how you honor Popeye himself in your film?
Yeah, and what were the restrictions with IP? I know you couldn't use Bluto. Is that right?
Right. Some of the characters like Bluto and Wimpy, you officially couldn't use them, but like Olive Oil is okay. Obviously Popeye and all the characteristics of Popeye were okay. We actually hired a lawyer and had him give us like a letter of like a review of our script and everything just to make sure. And they did some research and they said, hey, as long as you stay within these parameters, you're fine, you're covered. So we said, okay. And once we had that, we were kind of ready to go.
Now, in terms of honoring Popeye himself, what were those discussions like as well?
Yeah, so we definitely want to do our own take on Popeye. We didn't want to necessarily go like the cartoony route because what Popeye became later with the cartoon and everything. We wanted to go basically with the original comic strip Popeye, who was a little more sarcastic, a little more darker, and I think that's what we kind of leaned into. We wanted to go kind of old school with him.
But at the same time, I love that I saw it with an audience. Every time, like from the shadows, a little can of open spinach would roll over. Like it just, people burst out laughing. And the guy in the bar, the like sailor telling the grizzled sailor telling the story, the fact that he recurs is so hilarious. Like it's got a whole look. You know what this movie is? It's a and I think and people in the chat, over 2,000 watching. We are going to make a category in award this. It's my annual award show. Film Threat puts it on. We want to make a category that would be like, what's the category? Public domain slasher movie as its own category, because there are a lot of them. The Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Neverland, this movie, like there's Scream Boat coming out in a few weeks. Like I like these movies. I know what they are. Are they good horror films? Do they kind of mock and have fun with the IP? And would they be good films if it wasn't IP, right? Like, would it just be a good movie without that? This one checks all those boxes. So I think this could at least be nominated next year in a new category we create at Award This, because it's something Alan and I just like, let's just do this thing.
That's amazing. Yay.
We have a ton of questions for our chat. Before we go to the questions, the release on the film, I know it's coming to theaters. You can buy tickets at AMC.
So it's being released in select theaters across the country today, starting today, and it's also going to be on VOD starting today. So like Apple and Amazon, Fandango at home, and some other streaming platforms it's going to be on.
So, did you hear that? There is no excuse not to see this movie. You don't have any excuse. So, let's go. There's a ton of questions. So, let me get to these. V Webster for 5. The trailer looks great, Robert. Sarah, what is it about horror that makes it your go-to genre above all others?
Oh, I love the horror community. I love horror fans. I love horror filmmakers. I feel like we all just have a shorthand in our appreciation of the genre. I also feel like in horror movies, you get to do so much more than you get to do in other genres. You have to run the gambit of, being a love interest, being, crying and in peril, being in pain. Whereas, rom-coms, no offense to those, you're only using like one tool in your toolbox, whereas in horror, you get to use absolutely everything. So it's always a blast to work on. Those sets are always the most fun because you're doing so much brutal stuff on camera that everyone is releasing the tension by cracking jokes around it. So I just love it.
I think acting in genre movies is underrated.
I 100% agree.
Frankly, I'll say it, Demi Moore was robbed. Seriously, like she does so much in that film. I'm sorry, all due respect to Honora, I and Mikey Madison. Demi Moore should have gotten it. So there you go.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
So a lot of comments here. Sean Who says you definitely nailed the look of Popeye. Popeye's wide shut, says Patrick Lemire. Darth Maul, I think Robin Williams would have loved this. Says Darth Maul. Khaled, does Popeye pop any eyes? Well, you saw the trailer. It's
no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. It's pretty gory. It delivers on the gore. Let's just say that. What was the spinach budget for this film? He's a member. Also and I do like that sweet pea and olive oil are in it in some. I don't want to give it away. It plays out. It pays off. But the spinach was like you designed those cans.
Yeah. Yeah. We just went out and got some old school cans that you have to like screw the top off, not the pop off ones, but the old school ones. We had to find a couple cases of those. I designed the label, print them out, dirtied them up, and kind of gave them a vintage look. And then the shots where it rolls into the camera, that's me in the darkness doing 20 takes, trying to get the can to roll just right so it lands on its mark and we can see the can and everything. So that I got pretty good towards the end. I was getting pretty skilled at it. But
the name of the spinach company that you came up with is fantastic too.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that was when we were first talking about the movie at that bar that one night. We were saying we have to have a shot where out of the darkness this can roll, like guys are gonna like beat up some girl and this can rolls out of the darkness and we did that final shot in the can. And so I was so happy that came out exactly the way we had kind of envisioned it.
Yeah. Aid Ellis 24, is Popeye a character that you had a deep knowledge and love for before learning he was coming into public domain, or were you just familiar with his place in pop culture?
Sarah, you're the young one here.
I'm not that young. I actually never really watched the Popeye cartoons when I was growing up. I knew he was part of our culture. Like I knew who he was. I knew he loved spinach. You can't get away from Popeye and spinach. But I did not. I have learned so much about Popeye and about public domain just from doing this movie that I really did not know before.
A comment here from the Introspect M. Not sure if it's true or maybe it once was, but I've heard Popeye is the most recognizable character around the world.
Wow, I didn't know that, but
so
I hope so. Yeah,
I hope your international distributor is doing their job.
Yeah. Here from the nerd far away. Hail, Ryan and Sarah. Just for funsies, have either of you been to the Popeye Village in Malta?
I have not, but so it's fun. I was doing another interview with a friend who is currently shooting a movie in Malta, and he is actually going to go and visit the Popeye Village while he is there to celebrate and support Popeye.
Oh, that's awesome. And 8 Ellis 24 asks, have you seen Robert Altman's Popeye film? Was there anything after watching that you tried to either avoid or do a homage in your own film?
I was obsessed with that movie when I was a little kid. It played in the 80s and I grew up in the 80s. So I've seen that movie more times than I can count. We definitely, the little bit of campiness, that movie had a lot of campiness, but we definitely wanted to lean into that. And I think the kind of like, what's like the heart that's in the film. Like we tried to find a little bit of heart in our Popeye film. So our Popeye's not just this mindless killing machine. Like there's a heart to him that's revealed as the movie plays out. So that's kind of what we were going for. And I hope that comes across in a kind of similar way as to the Altman film.
You made Popeye a protector, honestly.
Yeah.
Like he's not, as you said, he's not just a mindless killing machine. He's protecting his space and protecting what he perceives to be his family. He's a bit of a tragic hero, kind of like the old Universal monsters.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then Bluto is potential sex offender. Bluto. Maybe it's good that Bluto wasn't in the
He's a
movie.
harasser.
Yeah. Razor Burn says, Robert and Sarah, is there a specific film that got you into making horror? Too bad you couldn't cast Robin Williams, R.I.P. But was there a specific horror movie that made you love horror or get into horror filmmaking?
I'm curious what Sarah's answer is to this.
There was not a specific one for me. I actually just kind of fell into doing horror movies. I was fairly sheltered growing up, and I wasn't really allowed to watch them. So my consumption and love of horror really occurred later in life as I started to work in the horror genre. And horror is also just a very loyal community. So once you start working in it, then you work in it more. So it wasn't a specific choice, but the more that I worked in it, the more I consumed it, the more and more and more I loved it.
Yeah. What's funny is I learned this only recently, both Alan and I, on an interview. The majority of horror fans are women. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Wow.
I think it speaks to, women a lot of times, not to get too political or anything, but in our society, we are, quote unquote prey. We are the fairer sex, quote unquote weaker sex. And so I think there is something therapeutic about being able to watch a horror movie and have all of these horrible things happen without them physically threatening you in the actual space while you're watching it.
Yeah, and then the triumph at the end.
And horror really celebrates women. Like Final Girls, that's it's a very female dominated, female focused genre.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
In this film, we also wanted to stress that we didn't want all the women to just be like victims. We wanted them all to have some power. And like Elena Juliana, who played the lead, Olivia, we wanted her to really have like the strong voice in the film, and even like the campy stuff where like Seth is flirting with Lisa and it's so cheesy, but she, instead of like going, "Oh, you're so hot," she's just like, "Oh God, this guy's an idiot." We wanted to really have some fun with it and not just be so typical of what you expect from this kind of a horror film.
Yeah, well, you pulled it off, and there's a good balance. There are good men, there are bad men, there are protectors, and ones that are abusive. And I think you pulled it off really well. There's a lot more to the film. And let's end on this question. Easy one. What is your favorite horror film from Solomon Thornton?
So whenever I get asked that question, I always say you have to pick a subgenre because there is too many.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's slasher. Is it supernatural? Is it a zombie? Because you can't compare them. They're all different. But my general stock answer for that is we'll just go with the old classic Halloween. It's a perfectly original, John Carpenter's. Or The Thing by John. There's a lot.
By the way, The Thing is playing this weekend at the Academy Museum. John Carpenter will be there with Guillermo del Toro. You can get tickets for like I'm going on Saturday with my friend Shane. We're going to see The Thing, one of my all-time favorite films. In 4K at the Academy Museum. Just a little tip for people out there that are fans.
I think I also just saw that he's finally getting a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Finally.
Nice. Robert, do you have an answer for favorite horror film?
Well, I mean, as Sarah said, it's like there's so many horror films that I love, like that are different. Like Jaws is a great example of a great horror film that doesn't have a typical horror thing. The Thing and Halloween, of course, is so iconic. But for me, whenever somebody asks me that question, I always go, but the first thing that pops in my head, which is I watch it. If I ever see it on TV, I'll watch it until it ends, is The Exorcist. I just, to me, that's such a great suspense building horror that just gets worse and worse as it goes. And that always struck a chord with me.
My stock answer, Night of the Living Dead, original 1968.
Oh, yeah.
That haunted me. The way it ends. The ending just so dark. Awesome. Sarah and Robert, thank you for joining us. Popeye the Slayer Man is in theaters and on VOD, and I can't wait to see. Is there a sequel in the works?
Very early stages. I mean, we're getting a really great response. We're getting out there, and everyone's responding really great to it. And so we're confident it's going to be very successful. And so we're basically talking about how quickly do we want to get the next one out. But we really want to, for a sequel, you have to do more, do bigger, and we really want to just top what we did with this film. And so we have to discuss like how we're going to do that without, kind of cutting any corners. We really want to do a quality sequel.
I've got one word for you. Bluto. Bluto and
in the public domain yet?
That's the issue, yeah.
That is, you have to make that happen.
Yeah.
Sarah and Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the movie. It is a blast in theaters with friends, and congratulations again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Alan.
Cool. Take care. See you guys later.
Thank you.